Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be taking a look at a book that's really been on my mind lately. It's called The Soul of the World.
Oh, Roger Scruton.
Yeah, by Roger Scruton.
Wonderful book.
It is, and I'm so excited to kind of dig in. There's so much in here. It's like philosophy, politics, art, music. We've got a lot to unpack.
We do, and it all comes back to this question. How do we find meaning in this world that science can explain so much about, but maybe can't explain everything about?
Yeah, and that's kind of where Scruton really starts to dig in, I think. Is like one of the things that struck me right away was this sort of pushback against these purely evolutionary explanations for like everything that humans do.
Yes.
Like we do this because it helps us survive.
Right.
And he's like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah, well, he uses this term thematicity to kind of get at this point. So take the incest taboo. We know that's, it's not good to reproduce with your close family members.
Right.
But his point is there's this emotional weight that we humans give to it.
Yeah.
It's not just about genetic survival. It's like we perceive it as wrong. Like intrinsically.
Yes, there's this like morality attached to it.
Absolutely. It's like an order to things that evolution doesn't fully capture. He even makes the same argument about things like truth and beauty.
Yeah.
So why are we obsessed with patterns in mathematics? Why do we create art that maybe doesn't have like an evolutionary advantage? He's asking these why questions that are so essential to the human experience.
Like, why are we drawn to these things?
Yeah.
It almost seems like we're programmed for something a little bit more than just survival.
Yes.
Right, like Scruton's suggesting that there's this spiritual dimension that kind of goes beyond just the material.
That's a huge theme in the book. And he even draws on Durkheim, the sociologist who defines religion in terms of the sacred, things that are set apart and even forbidden. And Scruton goes on to say that this experience of the sacred, it's really about encountering something transcendent. Something that points beyond our daily world, beyond this.
So it's like there's this awe.
Yes.
This mystery. And certain things have that. Places, rituals. It's like that we talked about a little bit before we started recording. Even like nature.
Yes, exactly.
Certain places, certain rituals can evoke that feeling.
And he would say that's the true presence.
Okay. So the true presence is this.
The feeling of something greater.
Beyond.
Yes.
Okay.
And this true presence, it's not just a vague feeling. Scruton ties it to this other core concept, the person.
Okay.
So for him, a person is distinct from an animal or even a thing because of our capacity for this encounter. It's personal.
Right. So we're not just objects, like we are interacting and subjects.
Yes.
We're subjects.
With intention, seeking connection. And he even draws on Kant and Hegel, saying that it's these complex interactions with others that actually give us our freedom and even our self-consciousness.
Okay, so that's an interesting concept. Because if science, paints this material picture, are these concepts like personhood even real?
Exactly. And freedom.
Or are they illusions? Like, is this whole true presence just something we made up?
Well, and that's what Scruton wants to unpack.
Okay.
That's the challenge he's taking on.
Okay.
He's arguing that they're not illusions, but something very fundamental. He looks at the foundation of our experience, the I perspective. I think you were alluding to this earlier.
Right. It's like, where do we even start with all of this?
Exactly. Well, Scruton, following Kant, points out this difference between consciousness, something we might even share with animals, and self-consciousness.
Okay, so I can be aware of something.
Yes.
But then there's this next level where I'm aware that I'm the one.
You got it.
Being aware.
Exactly. Like, I am the one experiencing this.
That's what makes us different.
Exactly. And Scruton says this is where philosophical inquiry starts. That I, that sense of I. And it's also, he says, where our sense of free will comes in. But is it real?
Yeah.
Or just a trick? That's the question.
Is this something that we've evolved to believe?
Exactly.
But it's not actually real.
Scruton thinks it's more than just a trick. And to get at this, he looks at something maybe a little bit unexpected. The human face.
The face. Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What's so special about the face?
Well, for Scruton, it's more than just a collection of features.
Right.
It's this meeting point between the self and the other.
Okay.
This I encountering the thou, as Martin Buber said. And it evokes this feeling of inviolability.
Oh, I love that word. Inviolability.
It demands respect, recognition.
Yeah, there's something
Yes. sacred about the human face.
Sacred, yes.
Exactly.
Like you can't just do whatever you want to it.
Exactly. And he connects this to personhood.
Okay.
Even pointing out that the word person comes from the Roman theater.
Really?
Where persona meant a mask worn by an actor.
Oh, that's so interesting. So we're all kind of presenting this face to the world.
This mask reflecting both our inner self and our social roles. Oh, wow.
So it shows how the self is really intertwined with the other.
Yeah. Like we need each other to become who we are.
We do.
This is great. Now, I do want to, because he doesn't shy away from it, get into love and sex.
Oh, yes.
Let's do it.
So how does all of this connect to that?
Well, his analysis of Adam and Eve is super interesting. He sees this shame that's associated with the body as a uniquely human emotion.
Yeah, I can see that.
Animals don't really experience this shame the way that we do, this covering up, feeling awkward or exposed.
Right.
That's human.
Right. And even the way that we try to make ourselves look a certain way.
Yes.
It's all tied to that.
And he even makes a distinction between the shame of the body, covering yourself up, and the shame of the soul, where you want to hide your face.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of that painting.
Zaccio.
Adam and Eve.
Yes.
Adam's covering his face, and Eve's worried about her
body.
Her body, yeah.
It's so telling.
It is. It's such an interesting...
Yes.
Scruton uses that imagery to illustrate these different dimensions of shame.
Yeah.
And he ties this into his critique of reducing sex to mere pleasure-seeking.
Okay, so it's not just physical. You're saying there's more to it.
It's about the meaning.
Yeah.
The emotional, interpersonal meaning that we bring to it, the love, the connection, this vow.
Yeah, it's not just animalistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now...
Me too. This is going to be a fascinating journey.
Buckle up, everybody. We're just getting started.
Let's do it. For me, it's this thing about the fall that he keeps coming back to, that idea of the fall from grace. You see it in myths, religion, even philosophy.
Right, like Adam and Eve. That's a classic fall from innocence.
Exactly. And Scruton connects this to the evolution of cities.
Okay.
He contrasts the ancient city, built around the sacred, with the modern, more secular city.
Oh, interesting.
It's really fascinating.
So what kind of differences is he talking about?
He describes this ancient Greek city, Colophon. Imagine a city structured around a central temple. Like the temple was the heart.
Wow.
Both physically and spiritually. This sense of permanence, connection to the divine.
That's so different from how we think about cities now.
Isn't it? It's like the city itself was a sacred space.
Yeah, a place where the human and the divine coexisted.
Right. And then he contrasts that with the modern city. Buildings often feel utilitarian, temporary. We've lost that connection to something bigger.
Yeah, it's funny. When I think about cities that I've been to that have really moved me, they often do have this historical core.
Yes.
Maybe religious.
Right.
Where you can feel that presence of the past.
It resonates with what Scruton's saying.
Yeah.
When we lose sight of the sacred, our cities lose their soul.
Makes you think.
And this leads us to beauty.
Yes. And especially music. I know he wrote a whole other book about that.
He did, The Aesthetics of Music. He dives deep into how we experience art.
Yeah.
For him, beauty is about savoring the world.
Okay.
Finding meaning in how things look, sound, feel.
It's not just about something being pretty.
No, it's about how we engage with it.
Right, how it makes us feel.
What it means to us.
Okay.
Think about music. We experience movement and space in music. But those things don't physically exist in sound waves.
That's true.
Music creates a world of meaning that goes beyond the material.
Yeah. When I listen to music, it's not just about the notes. I feel like I'm being transported.
Yes.
Experiencing different emotions, stories.
And that's where Scruton brings in this idea of cognitive dualism.
Okay, what's that?
It's like we experience the world through two lenses.
Okay.
The material world, our physical senses, and then this lens of meaning shaped by our thoughts, beliefs.
So it's not that one is real and one is fake.
Right. They're both part of how we understand reality.
We work together.
Exactly. Which brings us back to that fundamental question, why?
Oh, the big one?
Why are we here? What's the point? Does life even have a purpose?
I mean, are we ever going to know the answer to that?
Well, Scruton argues that science can't fully answer that question.
Okay.
It's a question that touches on our deepest longings, our need for meaning, in a world that can feel chaotic and meaningless.
So where do we turn for answers? Is he saying we need to go back to religion?
He doesn't say that explicitly,
Hmm.
but he does say that faith is about believing there's a reason for suffering, for existence, for the world as it is.
It's like an act of trust.
Yes, choosing to believe there's a purpose, even if we don't understand it.
And this connects back to that true presence idea.
Exactly. There's more to reality than we can see.
Something beyond.
Something that gives our lives meaning.
It all makes me wonder, was Scruton religious himself?
It's hard to say. He took religion seriously,
Yeah.
saw its power in shaping culture, but didn't seem to subscribe to any dogma,
Some more about the importance of the spiritual.
regardless of your specific religion.
It seems like his work speaks to a lot of people.
It does. He's not preaching,
Yeah.
just asking us to think deeply.
About the big questions.
The mysteries of being human.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It had.
Scruton's book is definitely going on my list.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So refreshing to find someone who really tackles these questions of meaning.
In such a thoughtful way.
It's not about easy answers.
No, it's about wrestling with the mysteries.
Exactly.
That's what makes a good book.
It is.
It's not just about information.
Right.
It's about transformation.
Changing how you see the world.
Yeah.
It's not about giving you the answer. It's like he leaves us with this question. If the world does have a soul,
Okay.
a purpose beyond what we can see and measure, then what does that mean for us? How should we live?
Oh, that's a big one. It's like he's saying, take this seriously. The possibility that there's more to reality than we can even grasp.
Exactly. What if there is this deeper meaning to it all? This
Yeah.
soul of the world.
Then everything we do matters.
Everything takes on a new meaning. Our choices, our actions.
It's not just about, being happy and making money.
No, it's about aligning ourselves with this purpose.
Even if we don't fully get it.
Even if we don't understand it completely.
Yeah.
He's saying we need to cultivate this sense of reverence, recognizing the sacred in the world.
It makes me think about those cities again.
Yes. The ancient city, built around the temple,
Hmm.
versus the modern one.
That feels so empty sometimes.
He's calling for a renewal, a shift in our values, our priorities, a way of life that honors the soul of the world.
This has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
Scruton's book is a must-read.
Absolutely. I love how he makes you re-examine your own beliefs.
It's so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
And challenging.
Not about giving you all the answers.
No, it's about asking the right questions.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it such a powerful book.
So to our listener, if you're looking for a book that will really make you think.
Pick up The Soul of the World. You might not agree with everything Scruton says.
Right, but it will get you thinking.
It will stay with you.
All right.
You might even have some aha moments.
And rediscover that sense of wonder.
About this mystery we call life.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking the soul of the world.